In the evolving and constant changing world of technology today, a lot of high-tech companies find themselves tangled in legal procedures and intellectual property issues overseas. We are glad to have with us Mr. Michael Rozan and Mr. Robert Hanoch from Kobre Kim law firm. Hello to you both.
Hi, how are you doing?
All right.
Michael, Israel, the innovation nation, has a lot of technology companies, locals and multinationals. How could the Kobre Kim technology and intellectual property practice be relevant to them?
So first of all, thank you very much for having us here, Maor. It's a pleasure to be here. Kobre Kim is a global law firm with offices in 13 different countries around the world. And here in Tel Aviv, we're one of the only global firms to actually have a physical office in Tel Aviv, to be proud and put Tel Aviv on our masthead and in our letterhead. And our approach here in Tel Aviv is similar to our approach around the world. First of all, we specialize in only two things: litigation and investigations. And second of all, we work on what we call cross-border cases, helping companies, individuals, banks, other institutions in the geography where we are with their problems in another geography. And in particular, in Israel, we help Israeli technology companies, universities, banks, individuals with the litigation and investigation problems they have outside of Israel. And when it comes to innovation, one of the most appealing things about the Israeli economy is the fact that companies and individuals are able to go out and try something and either succeed or fail fast. And if you fail, then you try again and you try something new. And it's a wonderful trait of the Israeli economy and the Israeli mindset. But occasionally, the failures are not the result of the technology or of the innovation or even of the management practices of the startup itself. It's the result of some sort of exploitation by a multinational company or other forces that are outside the control of the company. And that's what we're here to help with.
Robert, you are an independent examiner of the U.S. Department of Justice investigation in Bank Ha'Poalim. Can you tell us more about your responsibilities in this role?
Sure. Our job in that particular matter is to assess the methodology utilized by the bank in its reporting to the U.S. authorities. And so we do that with respect to every aspect of the relevant conduct having to do with U.S. taxpayers.
Robert, you are also a former U.S. Department of Justice prosecutor. Why would an Israeli institution or individuals under investigation by an Israeli regulator need to meet with an American attorney?
Well, they wouldn't always. On occasion, it would make sense because the United States, as you probably know, exercises worldwide jurisdiction over any matter that touches on the U.S. financial markets. So, for example, if a company is dual listed and listed on the U.S. exchange as well as the Israeli exchange, that would be one instance of jurisdiction. And another would be anything that the company might do that touches on the U.S. financial markets. For example, trade in dollars, receive supplies or equipment from U.S. manufacturers, et cetera. So a wide variety of things could subject an Israeli company to U.S. jurisdiction.
Michael, let's talk about Bentem IMF, the fund that lately partnered with Kobre Kim to create a litigation funding solution to Israeli companies. What needs did you recognize that made you establish this partnership?
So about 2 years ago, Robert and I started going around to different startups and different VCs and Israeli law firms and meeting with companies, meeting with lawyers, meeting with investors. And one of the things that we noticed was that came up over and over again were that there were these companies, these startups that had great ideas, great technology, really impressive innovation, but they weren't able to pull it off. And what was the reason? They had some sort of relationship with a multinational company or with some other international entity. And something went wrong, whether it was they had their trade secrets stolen or their patents infringed or some confidentiality breach. There was a problem, and they weren't able at the time to resolve that problem. Now, what were the reasons they weren't able to? Mainly two. One was they lack the resources, the financial resources, to, let's say, file a lawsuit in the US or in Europe or in Asia or wherever it was to actually carry out and vindicate their rights. And the other was they lacked the comfort with the systems, the legal systems in those jurisdictions. They just weren't familiar with them. Maybe they'd be familiar with Israeli litigation, but not with litigation outside. And what we sought with our partnership with Bentham IMF, one of the world's largest litigation funders in the world, was a way to try to solve that problem, to help those companies vindicate their rights and file suits when necessary and enforce their IP, enforce their trade secrets, enforce their contractual rights outside of Israel. And that's what we've been trying to do with our $30 million fund.
Robert, Kobre Kim is a big firm with several branches around the world. Can you tell us about recent victories?
Sure. Most recently, we were successful in having a UK court recognize a $9.6 billion judgment against the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is one of the largest judgments in history that we know about. And just before that, we succeeded in devising a strategy for ConocoPhillips to recover a $2 billion judgment plus interest and full monetary penalties against a Venezuelan entity as well. With respect to the case against Venezuela, for example, we were actually able to seize large shipments of oil in the Dutch Caribbean by getting orders from a Dutch court, which allowed us to actually board the vessels and divert them to other shores so that the client itself could recover their oil, and that was part of the way they got paid back. So we're able to devise lots of very innovative strategies because of our global reach and our global presence that can really help our clients quite a bit.
So thank you, Mr. Hanoch.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rozen.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching us. See you next time.